Just another brother with another humble question. Just another brother with another humble question.
Welcome to another episode of A Brother with Questions. I am your host, B. Period. Appreciate y'all for joining me. Before we get going here, let me not forget to ask you to like and subscribe to the channel, man. Just hit that little like button. Subscribe to the channel, comment on the video, tell me what you think. Tell me if you agree, you disagree, think I'm crazy, think I don't know what I'm talking about. Whatever it is, whatever you're feeling, let me know. Let me know. And last but not least, man, don't forget, click on that little notification button, notification bell, so that you know when these videos drop. You know, I told you before, they coming every Monday and Thursday, but you hit that notification bell and you'll get the reminder that it's here. Man, today this is a video that I saw a little bit back, and I felt today was a good day to kind of circle back to it. The young man, the gentleman here is talking about love. Let's dive in.
Falling in love and remaining in love are not the same thing. And the problem is culture sold us a product that says fall in love, get married, have children, and live happily ever after. And for
right there, let's just pause on that right there. Falling in love and remaining in love are not the same thing. That is a bar. That's a bar that I think so many people don't realize it isn't. You know, I don't think the world understands that those are two different things. Because I think, you know, my honest opinion is I think you can fall in love with, to be honest, I think you can fall in love with more than one person. But to remain in love with someone for an extended period of time, that's a whole nother thing. That's a whole nother thing. Let's keep going.
And for the rest of us, the reality is after you fall in love and after you get married and the honeymoon is over and everyone has gone home, now we look at ourselves in the mirror. We don't know how to stay in love because for the most part, falling in love is voluntary, but remaining in love is a decision.
Woo, another bar. This is why I had to, because I told you I could have been in this video and I didn't, and I kind of skipped over it, but I was coming back to it. So remaining in love or falling in love is voluntary. Remaining in love is a decision. And so, you know, watching the video, you know, he's obviously putting this video in the context of marriage. And so when we're talking about marriage, yeah, you chose the man or the woman that you chose to marry voluntarily. You said, you know, maybe you were dating multiple people at the time, or maybe you were just dating one person. But anyway, you fell in love with this one individual that you chose to fall in love with. And then, you know, you guys make that next decision to get married. And, you know, in the beginning, it's all sweet. You know what I mean? We've been loving on each other for however long we dated for. Then we get married and we go on this honeymoon, right? You know, maybe you take this beautiful trip, right? Out of after the honeymoon, and now for this first year, you're looking at each other and it's, oh, baby, baby, baby. And then, you know, I don't know, you know, it gets longer for some, shorter for others. But then you get to this point where you find out that thing that was there when you first got married, at some point it kind of goes away a little bit, and now you're kind of in this place where you're like, well, what are we gonna do? Like, what are we gonna do? You know, am I gonna stay here or am I leaving? Because this ain't quite exactly what I signed up for. And there becomes that decision that he's talking about. Let's get going.
And usually in covenants or marriages, the first thing to leave is connection. And connection leaves because of busyness, because of growing families, because of taste buds changing emotionally, intellectually, or spiritually, and because of selfishness. And
man, he said so many things there. So in that again, he's speaking about marriage. So you get busy in life, right? You got a job, maybe. Well, hopefully one of y'all working, but but perhaps you have a job, or she has a job, or both of y'all got a job, right? And so you're in the business of going to work every day, right? 9 to 5, whatever the case may be, 8 to 10 hours a day. You go to work, then you come home. Now you're tired. Now you're sleepy. You don't want to be bothered like that no more. Then, like he talks about, you start working on a family, right? So maybe a lot of marriages these days are coming into the marriage with kids. So, you got your job, you still got your 8 to 10 hour job. Then you got to start paying attention to the kids, depending on the age of these kids. Now you got extracurricular activities going on. So now you're doing that right after work. So now you're tired. Maybe you're coming home. Now you got to cook dinner, whatever, right? You got all these things that are happening that are distracting you from each other because life is going on.
When connection leaves, commitment follows right after it. But what if someone taught us? What if our peers and our elders taught us that in order to remain in love, you have to first make a decision. You have to choose love. You have to choose your partner every single day. You have to choose effort. You have to choose kindness. You have to choose empathy. You have to choose to remain there and continue to work and continue to be connected with your partner. Because when connection leaves, commitment follows.
I love that. When connection leaves, commitment follows. I'm going to stop sharing that video real quick. But so, yeah, man, I just wanted to speak on this real quick. When we look at the internet today, that's what I'm going to talk about. I'm talking about the internet. When we look at the internet today, we've got, we got this red pill community out here. We've got countless men and women who are speaking on relationships and what they want in a relationship, what they shouldn't want in a relationship, why you don't deserve that in a relationship, why you do deserve that in a relationship, all these different perspectives. And the few voices, there seems to be fewer voices doing what this man is doing, talking about marriage. Because a lot of the people who are commenting, while some of the advice is good and some of the advice is, it is what it is. A lot of the people that seem to have the voice aren't married, which is strange to me. Why are some of the biggest people offering advice about relationships not married? And then the married people who are speaking on it seem to have much less of a platform. Make it make sense. But one of the things that I do think that single people don't know, and I think part of that is because of the generation that we're in. I mean, we're talking about, this is the generation that, generally speaking, if you look at the statistics, a larger percentage of people being raised in single family homes, right? If you're talking about the Black community, they say upwards of almost 70%. Even in the white community, I believe that number's in the 50 to 60%. So, larger number of people being raised in single parent homes. And so as a result, they're not seeing what it is to be married. And so as a result, they're either, one, not desiring for it, or two, they're creating these, what I'll call fantasies about what it is and what it should be. But I love this conversation because it speaks to reality. The reality is, the reason why you see someone put 40 years in marriage, it's not because it was all beautiful. It's not because the roses were there. It's because they have made a decision. They've chosen to be kind in the moment where you needed to be kind. They're chosen to show empathy to their partner in the moment where their partner needed empathy. They've chosen to love their partner in spite of where they are at in life. You know, I heard someone say when you marry somebody, you actually are marrying or meeting a new version of them every 5 to 10 years. So you're talking about someone's been together 40 years. You've met about 5 or 6 different versions of this person who you met at 20 or 30 or whatever the case may be, depending on how old you are, right? And so each time they change, you have to now make a decision to love the person that they are. And the way you do that is by, as he talked about, staying connected, right? Speaking to the families that have kids, right? One of the things that we all have to realize is those kids are leaving. Do you hear me? There's gonna come a point in life where those kids leave the house. And if you're one of these people that say they ain't gotta never leave, you a liar. You's a liar. They gotta leave. Because number one, you didn't spend a lifetime raising them just to see them stay in your house forever. That's number one. But number two, you need them to leave so that the two of y'all can get back being the people who you were before they got there. And the only way you do that is by the decision, right? Because in that lifetime, y'all got busy, right? Y'all had the kid who was in every sport. So you were traveling to games all the time. And then in today's world, it gets even more hectic because now we got AAU travel ball, right? We got travel baseball, we got travel basketball. So now if you put your kid in that, now y'all going all across, the country sometimes just to keep up with all of these games, right? And so, yeah, y'all get lost because somebody got to work. Not everybody can make these trips sometimes. So, you get lost in that shuffle. But the one thing that I think this younger generation, when they talk about relationships, the thing that they miss is, number one, there's a connection that y'all have to continue to work on throughout the extent of the marriage. And then number two, recognize that, yes, there's going to come a point in a time where that love that brought you together shifts. And now you have to make a decision to learn the new way that you have to love this person who you made a commitment with. And I think in today's society, that decision-making process is what's missing. Because too many of us are looking to be satisfied based on who the person that we met. And now we're 10 years later, and that person isn't quite the same that we met them at. And now we're disappointed because we don't know this person. Baby, that's called life. I would hate to think that I'm the same person that I was. For me, it's going to be 20 years now. And so I would hate to think that I'm the same person I was 20 years ago. So I hope I have evolved to some extent that you can now come to love who I am 20 years later the same way, if not stronger, that you loved me 20 years ago. Because if we're not growing, if you're not changing, then what are you doing? Because I can change and still love you. You can change and I still love you. And I love the newer version of you, hopefully better than the older version. Because hopefully in that change, you're becoming better. And you're not regressing. And for those of you who might say, well, I made a bad decision 20 years ago. You know what? Maybe you did. Maybe you did make a bad decision. Maybe you made a decision 20 years ago that wasn't based on love, but was based on finance. But I'll say this to you. You still made the decision. And so if there's truly nothing about this person that you can love, then to me that says less about them and more about you. Because clearly you haven't changed in 20 years, in 10 years, in 5 years. Because had you had, you should have realized what you've done and got over yourself to realize that this person, right? This person who chose to go down the aisle with you. Because I have to believe that one of y'all actually did love one another. So maybe you weren't the one in the relationship that actually loved. Maybe you were the one in the relationship that saw the benefit. But if you can't then 5, 10 years later make a decision to love the person who loved you in spite of, then that says more about you and less about them. Because they clearly made a decision to love you in spite of what you were. And now you can't reciprocate that same love and love them in spite of them being your fantasy. Because you know what they are if they've still been with you all that time? Your reality. Because they loved you even when you were wrong. And you can't love them when they're right. I'm going to end this video right there. But we got to get over this idea that the fantasy will exist for 40 years. Because the truth is, it's the decision that exists for 40 years. Every day I wake up, I'm choosing you and not somebody else. Every day I wake up, I'm choosing to be kind to you and not somebody else. I'm choosing to show empathy when needed to you and not somebody else. Every day I'm choosing to love you and not somebody else. And I'm good with my decisions. And on that note, I'm B. Period, and I'm out.